And I think that is the key message. What Vil asked me to talk about is how this happened in the case of avian flu and then swine flu, and how we can see the impact of lobbying from behind. I mean, one fellow, and he swears blind that he had nothing to do with it, but this guy called Roy Anderson. Is it Roy Anderson? Yes, it's Roy Anderson. It's the other great British medical government fellow. He gets £156,000 a year from SmithKline Beecham. And he advises the government on, oh dear, I wonder what he advises them on. Yep, he advises them all sorts of medical things and annex and all the rest of it. So it is, he claims, and the government say, that he was not involved in the decision to purchase these vast quantities of drugs. However, it is interesting that he continues to be both the government advisor on these things and in the employ of SmithKline Beecham on a rather large stipend. You pays your money, you takes your choice. So these pharma companies, rich as they are, powerful as they are going to act in their own interests. And as I say, I can't find it hard to blame them. What I do find easy to blame is our elected politicians listening to them. Our elected politicians do not, they allow themselves to be scared by a panic headline into doing things that are not in the financial and national interests of any of our countries. But I mean, there are other things that I'd like to bring in. I mean, you have this, every time there's a, I don't know if you're aware of what I would describe as the doctrine of beneficial crisis. There's a healthcare crisis. We must create new law in order to deal with, I don't know, lung cancer or heart disease or drunken people falling out of tubes. And in order to deal with this, we must have new law. We have professional legislators now. They're not politicians anymore. It is a full-time career pension job to be a full-time professional legislator. And they have to do things, or else their justification falls apart, or their self-justification falls apart. So we're a small in number, but we're quite passionate about things. Our job, and here I do slightly go away from what Marietta was saying, is that there are other ways other than the shouting in a vacuum of governmental advice sessions. You can do things, you can act. One thing that I'd like to bring up, and this is positive, there is, I believe, light at the end of the tunnel for all of us, be it for the alcohol or for tobacco or just life, the basic lifestyle choices. First, I'd like to just bring up the case of Nick Hogan. And there he was last year, larger than life and twice as loud, here at the conference in Brussels. He was imprisoned, 2 weeks ago? And within 9 days, he was out again. And it wasn't big boys who got him out. It wasn't the law that got him out. It was people, where are you, Dick? It was people like him, that fellow over there, getting noisy on the internet, telling people what was going on. And Pat, yes. But basically, this man was sent to prison because he had a pub that he allowed a couple of pensioners to smoke in his bar. He was sent to prison, he refused to pay the fine, bang, 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 there he is, 6 months sentence. However, by the actions of concerned individuals, donating on average probably about 10 quid tops, they were able to pay an £8,500 fine. Now, that wasn't a politician, though Nick is the, well, I forgot what he's described as, the nighttime economy advisor to the United Kingdom Independence Party. Right, whatever. So it's, that's what it is. However, the point is that he got out of prison, not just because of Brits donating, but people across the world getting together and trying to defend one of their own who was merely standing up for the right to be himself, and for others in his own private establishment, the right for them to be themselves. And I think that sort of movement and that sort of action is something very positive and something we can take forward and think, no, there are ways and means. We can get our arse in gear. We can get our things together. I mean, the acts of Veal in this country, getting all the small hurricanes together, was an astonishing act of bottom-up movement, and it can be done. Another thing, and related, and this is in the more scientific aspect, in the science area, is what's happening with a chap called Simon Singh. I don't know if people know about this. Okay, Simon Singh is a doctor and science writer who got himself into all sorts of trouble by having a go at chiropractors. And there's a major libel case going on in the UK. He doubted, dare I say, the efficacy of chiropractic, and he has been taken to law under a new and rather vicious libel law in the UK. And again, through mostly, again, it's internet-based, people, there is a huge movement in support of him. And it looks like that libel law will be changed, not because of a political party, not because of a manifesto commitment, but because of the actions of individuals complaining and making a fuss. Whether one likes homeopathy or not, the scientific evidence for it is questionable, and we believe in non-junk science, I believe, as a whole in this room. But about a month and a half ago, we had an example of a mass overdose where thousands of people up and down the country went into Boots, the chemists, the pharmacists, and purchased huge quantities of homeopathic arsenic and swallowed it outside and failed to die. This has caused the Select Committee, the Health Select Committee in the UK, to question whether taxpayers' money should be spent funding sugar pills. This, again, is groundswell. It's not top-down, it's bottom-up. And it can be done. Things can be done. And I think the most important, because we have two sorts of science, don't we? We have what we like to think as junk science. We have what we like to think as serious, rational, proper science, with scientific method of the traditional sort, not the neo-scientific method, which is a public opinion-driven science, which is a bizarre thing that is being funded by the EU, of all things, oddly. And it is a completely different subject matter, but look what's happening to the IPCC. And you mentioned all these various different organisations being funded by the EU and being funded by the UN, and things like sort of EcoNet and Climate Action Network and this, that, and the other. But what's happening to the IPCC? Yesterday, the Greenpeace's proof on what's happening in the Amazon has been blown badly out of the water. We have the glacier question. Now, that's not to say that everything in the IPCC report is wrong, but again, the actions of concerned and expert individuals who are cut out from the peer-reviewed journals, who are cut out from the public process, who would never in a million years get the status required to be representative, the status required to become what I call a para-governmental organisation. But concerned people looking at facts, studying through the body of the internet, through passing information to each other and talking and discussing and questioning and querying and using that traditional, what I would call Enlightenment skepticism, something that both the classical liberals of Europe and the libertarians of America share, is this Enlightenment skepticism. By doing that, they've been able to question certain proven science, question certain aspects of science that is no longer allowed to be discussed in the public domain, such as, and I think the smoking, the passive smoking, and now there's passive obesity, which I think is rather glorious. That's breaking the bed. But this is individuals. It's not the bodies, and it's something that all of us in this room, and our friends and our relations, and people we've never met before, people who live in Ulaanbaatar, can join together and move forward, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. People are starting to question what their betters are telling them. People are starting to question what the scientific establishment is telling them. This government-funded, this neutral information that they receive from government-funded bodies. They don't believe it anymore. And this is where I think all of us have a great chance to move forward. And I hardly mentioned Europe at all. How about that?
Thank you very much indeed, Gawain. Positive message at the end there.